We're out here at a house in Virginia Beach, and this is one of those houses that has a lot of activity in it. The gentleman that lives here has been living here for quite a while, but recently, because of a flood in the downstairs, he's kind of left the house and has been living elsewhere. But whenever he comes back to the house, he always experiences lots of strange things. Objects sort of moving around, floating around by themselves, things like footsteps upstairs on the second floor, which is all wood or laminate upstairs. And they hear strange footsteps, not like normal footsteps, but more like a shuffling or like something is dragging its feet. The gentleman's experienced a lot of sort of fits of rage and anger that is not really much like him. He's not normally like that at all. He's also experienced some things in other locations whenever he goes to his girlfriend's house and stays there for the night. There's been activity over there. Supposedly when she fell asleep on the sofa one night, the sofa lifted up off of the ground, slammed back down hard enough for her to actually hurt her ear. And they also saw a creature in that other house too. And this he described as something tall and dark with long arms, sort of hunched over, and he said that it had like a goat's head with bright red eyes. And of course this scared the bejesus out of him, and but that's the only creature or the only thing that he's supposedly seen. Most of the activity has been noises, including voices. Something just a few days ago when he was here by himself, he came to get something, and whatever it was said "out" in this growling voice so loud that it sort of shook the house. And it scared him, and of course he left the house at that time. So we're here to do an investigation to try to figure out exactly what this could be. We might try to involve him a little bit in some of the lines of questioning, because we suspect that whatever this is, it may be actually associated with him instead of associated with the house or with the land that it sits on.
So I'm going to break out the Aura glasses, and these are the special glasses that have a UV dye with molecular exciting chemicals, which are supposed to let you see auras, but might also have an application to paranormal investigation, because I've always theorized that seeing spirits may have a lot to do with manipulating the visible light spectrums. So this is going to be another way just to get a different view and experiment, just to see if anything turns up. Alright, so I'm just kind of walking around with these, and I've got to say one thing about them is it makes the view a little darker. And the thing with it is, it said if I put my hand out on a white wall, I should be able to see the aura around my hand. Now you're not going to see it through the camera here, of course, but you kind of can see an outer glow, a white outer glow. So it's interesting. It's interesting. There's Jack. What are we doing, Jack?
I'm using a thermal camera.
Anything? Let's take a look through that there. Anything interesting on the thermal camera so far?
Yeah, there's some few hot spots.
Alright, well, trying out the Aura glasses, and just to see. Like I said, nothing like experimenting. If these things worked, I'm picturing it being like 13 ghosts. Was that it? Where they had the glasses? 13 ghosts where they had the glasses, you put them on and see. Yeah.
Sure was.
That's what I was kind of hoping these would be like. They are very cool. It's almost like looking through UV. It is. It's some kind of a UV chemical that they use, so it's pretty cool. Okay, so here it is. We have the Aura glasses in front of the camera. It's not going to give us the best view. It's probably not the same as it is quite wearing them, but you can kind of get an idea of what things look like through this.
Yeah. No, life is rough and you get so busy and you get, kids.
See if you can see my aura.
I know what you mean, but
Kind of put it in front of a white wall, see if it can, you gotta focus on it, and then kind of move your hand. Not sure it's really working. This landing is kind of a central point in the house. It's a point that we can see from anywhere in the house. We can hear it even if we're up there with the doors closed, which we're not going to be, but Jack is. I'm going to take this REM pod and I'm going to set it right up here on this landing. That way, if it goes off, pretty much from anywhere we are, if we're downstairs, if we're upstairs, we should be able to hear it. The only place we won't hear it is if we're in the back room or if we're in one of these rooms with the door closed. So one thing that's good about setting the REM pod here is this little catwalk right here is where they've heard footsteps several times, and it sounded like dragging feet coming along this catwalk. So we're going to set this REM pod right in the path that this would cross, so if something comes up through it, it should activate it.
So I did initial baseline around the house with the EMFs and the, what is the other detector? The
Tri-fuel?
carbon monoxide detector, and there were no spikes, and the readings were between a .01 and a .03, so there were no spikes anywhere throughout the house. Pretty steady.
I walked around and I took the baseline pictures. On initial inspect, I didn't actually see anything, but through the viewfinder as I'm looking at them, I'm seeing orbs and dust fly by and things like that. I'll have to review the pictures to see if it's anything more than just dust, but you know, it's kind of hard to tell from photographs anyways. But the one particular bedroom where they said it feels really strange and there's a lot of activity up there is where I saw the most things flying by in the viewfinder. So kind of an interesting coincidence. We're
We're going to go upstairs and we're going to start up in the bedroom because this is where a lot of the activity occurs. This is where he feels that he's getting attacked when he's sleeping and such. A lot of changes with temperature here. We're going to be monitoring the temperature, and we're going to be starting off with an EVP session as the environment is conducive to that right now, which is great because I love a good EVP. It's some solid evidence right there if we can get that. So let's head upstairs and see what happens.
Hey, Jack.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
I'm Tanya.
Now I'm Jack.
And we're here because we're trying to find out who is it that gives this man a hard time when he's sleeping in this room. We want to know why you're here. We're open to the idea that you may have a message that you want to convey, that you don't have ill intentions, but we're also open to the possibility that you may have bad intentions. And we want clarification from you. Why are you here?
We've heard that something moves around this house dragging its feet a little bit. Is that you?
Did somebody bring you here? Or were you here before this gentleman moved into the house?
If someone did bring you here, who was it that brought you here? Was it a resident of this house? Are you here because of witchcraft? Someone mentioned that it could be Palo Mayombe.
Did Mr. Paulo bring you here?
Mr. Paulo.
Is it Mr. Muande?
No, it's not either. There's no mister involved here. It's kind of like Santeria. That's the name of it.
Now, are you attached to anybody here?
Can you do something to let us know that you are here?
Like playing with the equipment on the bed? Can you come out and play?
Came up here in the master bedroom, started with an EVP session. This is where a lot of the activity occurs. This is where he gets attacked by something when he's sleeping. And it's more than just a physical attack. It's like something is here trying to drain his energy. We didn't get a single hit on the REM pod the whole time we were up here. We decided to activate the spirit box. Started asking some questions. A lot of radio chatter that was coming through, but it didn't sound like it was anything significant or any definite responses to our questions. But again, we have to review it. Now at this point in the investigation, this isn't necessarily a good sign, but it's not a bad sign either. It's hard to say at this point. If you take what we have, the experiences that this man is relaying to us that he's having, and you combine that with the lack of activity that we've had thus far, it's a very bad mix. Because usually when there's something that's evil at work, it stays hidden. It terrorizes these people, and then when we come in, nothing happens. But it's still too early in the investigation to make any kind of determination. We have a lot more to do, a lot more ground to cover.
When we came in, I fully expected to get at least some sort of response. I expected to see the REM pod go off, or to get some sort of response that we could see exactly what this was through the spirit box. But so far, and at least in first listening, I didn't actually hear anything that came through that didn't sound like radio chatter or like a piece of a song coming through. Now, like Jeff said, we really have to go through and analyze the audio. We have to run it through the computer and listen to it all again, because it comes through so fast through the spirit box that it could be that there was something that we missed. But we're going to try a different location now, and perhaps we'll have a little bit better luck in communicating with something than we have in this room.
I was here earlier by myself with, of course, with a similar REM pod, but it's smaller. I sat on the bed, I asked questions, and no response. So I had the door closed, lights off, and I didn't really feel anything abnormal. Like I said, the REM pod didn't go off. I did it for, it was probably about 10 minutes, and then I cut it.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to split up to an extent where Linda's going to stay in here with the resident, and she's going to ask questions. He's going to ask questions. Meanwhile, Jack's going to go out front, I'm going to go out back, and we're all going to run our recorders at the same time. The idea behind this is a lot of times when we're in the house, it seems like whatever it is leaves the house. But whatever's here may very well be bound to the property, so that may be the extent of where it can go. In doing this, we're going to be listening to see if there's any anomalies outside while Linda's asking the questions inside. Just kind of an experiment to see what kind of results we get. It's pretty windy out here, so I'm thinking the audio is going to be pretty well distorted. Okay, so at this point Linda asked me to come in, so I'm going to go inside and see what's going on. Here we go. Closing the door. What's up?
I was thinking maybe you want to go out in the garage.
In the garage?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just to kind of cover all bases. That's one place we haven't been out to, I don't think. And
Careful. Just watch out for all the fishing rods for the road.
Oh, okay.
as long as there's no snakes, he's okay.
There's no snakes in there, is there?
It's my 16-foot Burmese.
What's that?
Burmese python?
Oh, you really have a snake in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not going in the garage.
I used to have them that big, but I ain't got them no more.
Okay, so there's no snakes in there though, right? Yeah, I'll let you know.
It's right to the left.
I'll let you know pretty quick if there is.
All right, first time I started talking, see if I can get anything on the EVP. I was mentioning all kinds of questions, and I haven't really gone through my EVP recorder, but I'm hoping I get something. I just have to go and through it, see if there is anything on it.
Any strange feelings out there?
Just cold.
Well, I started out back, and I just sat there. I put the recorder down, took a bunch of pictures, and this was twofold, because one thing is when they're doing the EVP session in here, our recorders were synchronized. So if they pick up a sound that they can't really explain, we can compare it to our recorders and see if we picked up anything coming from outside of the house that may have caused that sound, be it normal or paranormal. After about 10-15 minutes of me sitting out there, Linda said, come in, go into the garage. So what I did is I went into the garage and I left the recorder going. Once again, I didn't ask any questions, I didn't say anything. Took a bunch of pictures in there, and I looked at the pictures as best I could while I was in there. I didn't see any anomalies in the pictures. Jack was on the other side of the garage door, also leaving his recorder going, not asking any questions. So once again, it's twofold, because while they're in here asking questions, if they pick up a sound, we can compare it to the recorder that was going in the garage and the recorder that was going outside of the house to see if they picked up the same sound, to see if there's any explanation, be it natural, or perhaps when they were asking questions in here, something left, something came into the garage or came outside. So this would give us the means to capture that. When I was out back, I also took the meter with me, and I set that down on the table. That monitors the temperature, it measures the EMF fields. There was a 0.1, 0.2 spike. Now this really isn't significant. It's not even a full milligauss, but I just wanted to note it. That's the highest it went up when I was out there. So nothing really significant on the meter, and it didn't spike once while I was in the garage.
It was exceptionally quiet while we were inside, and the client was asking questions and trying to, you know, provoke something to come out and make a noise, or to say something, just to do something in the house to let us know what was here. And it was absolutely quiet. There were a couple of settling noises, of course, that sort of thing, but really it was just amazingly quiet. And you know, given the circumstances, like Jeff had said once before, that's not necessarily a good thing in this case. but it was kind of expected, at least on my part, because I've had the most communication with them and have heard the most about what they're experiencing.
I think for our next plan of action is to see if we can limit the amount of people that are in here. Maybe it'll be more willing to come out. It's not that it would feel less intimidated, but it may feel that it has more power over one person, and it's more willing to come out and confront that one person that comes in. So, also being said that the activity seems to be increased when the lights are out and it's perfectly quiet in here. So I think what we're going to want to do is send one person in, maybe with a spirit box, and just kind of do a rolling spirit box session solo and see if anything comes through. See if there's any indicators throughout the house of a point that that person should stop at. Ask more questions. If we get a voice that comes through and says something in one area of the house, perhaps that's the place where it can best communicate with us, or that's the place where it's lingering at the moment. So let's give that method a try and see if we get any more activity.
I'll leave a radio with you, and we'll all be out there.
Okay.
What we're going to do is, I think the client is going to ask the question. So I'm going to set up the digital voice recorder. I'm going to set up the spirit box and leave him here in the living room. He's going to ask some of the same questions that he was asking just previously. And we're all going to vacate the residence. We're going to go outside. And this is going to give us an indication of whether something's willing to talk to him and not to us. Yeah. I noticed the light changing while I was talking. Yeah. That thing's flickering again. And perhaps it'll respond to him a little bit more, and we'll record it.